Hello everyone and welcome back to Learning English with Fasil. Today we are diving into one of the most fun parts of speech, adjectives. Whether you're a student, a writer, or just someone wanting to spice up the language skill, this video is for you. Let's get started. First thing, what is exactly an adjective? Adjectives are words that describe the qualities or state of being of nouns. For example, think of words enormous, silly, and fast. These words give us more information about a noun, like what kind, or how many, or what color. Let's look at some sentences to see adjective in action. Margot wore a beautiful hat to the pie eating contest. Furry dogs may overheat in the summer time. My cake should have 16 candles. See how beautiful furry 16 modifies the nouns hat, dogs, and candles. They add depth to our image. Adjectives tell the reader what kind of something you're talking about, or how much or how many something you're talking about. For example, please use 3 white flowers in the arrangement. 3 and white are modifying flowers. Often, when adjectives are used together, you should separate them with a comma or conjunction. We'll see in more detail in the coding adjective section. Another example can be, I'm looking for a small, good-tempered dog to keep as a pet. Now let's explore the type of adjectives in English language and the rule. We have descriptive adjective. We have the most common type of adjectives. They describe qualities or state of being of nouns and pronoun, providing specific details. For example, happy, sad, large, small, blue, round. Descriptive adjective help answer questions like what kind or which one. Next, we have quantitative adjectives. These adjectives provide information about the quantity of the nouns or pronouns. They answer questions like how much or how many. Examples include some, many, few, several, one, two. Quantitative adjectives help us understand the amount of number of something. Demonstrative adjective. Let's look in more deeper what's in a demonstrative adjective. Demonstrative adjectives point out specific nouns or pronouns. They help specify which one or ones we are talking about. The key demonstrative adjectives are this, that, these, those. For example, this book, that car, these cookies, and those house. They answer this question, which one? Next, we have possessive adjective. Possessive adjectives show ownership or possession. They indicate to whom something belongs. The possessive adjective include my, your, his, her, its, our, and theirs. For instance, my dog, your house, his car, her idea, its color, our team, or their school. And they answer the question, whose. Finally, we have interrogative adjective. Interrogative adjectives are used to ask questions about nouns or pronouns. They include which, what, whose. For example, which book are you reading? Or what time is it? Whose bag is this? Interrogative adjectives help us gather information and clarify specifics, detail. Now we'll see at the degree of adjectives. Adjective come in 3 forms known as degree: absolute, comparative, and superlative. Each have a definition. Absolute describes something on its own, like a cool guy or a beautiful flower. A comparative compares two things, like a faster car when, when comparing car. Superlative indicates the higher degree, like the tallest building. Now let's explore the three degrees of adjective: absolute, comparative, and superlative. Understanding they can really enhance your writing and speaking skill. First up, we have absolute adjectives. They describe a quality in its most basic form, without making comparison to anything else. For example, a cool guy, or a messy desk, or a rigid guideline. In this sentence, the adjective cool, messy, and rigid simply describes the nouns they modify. There is no comparison here. They stand alone to express a characteristic. Absolute adjectives are incredibly powerful in the English language as they have the ability to vividly and effectively describe something with precision and clarity. When we use absolute adjectives such as cool, messy, rigid, awful, or mischievous, we are able to paint a distinctive picture in the mind of our audience. For instance, when we refer to someone as a cool guy, we are not simply stating that they are pleasant or trendy, but rather that they possess a certain effortless charm of charisma that sets them apart from the rest. Similarly, can be with messy desk. It's not just cluttered or disorganized, but rather a chaotic and disorderly space that reflects the frenetic energy of its owner. The use of absolute adjective like rigid guideline or awful situation further reinforces the strength of our description, conveying a sense of unyielding strictness and overwhelming negativity. Even animals can be accurately depicted with absolute adjectives, such as mischievous cats or garrulous squirrels, highlighting the playful or talkative nature. By harnessing the descriptive power of adjectives, we are able to engage our audience on a deep level and evoke strong emotion and imagery in their mind. Then next we let's talk about comparative adjective. As the name suggests, this adjective compare two or more things. They often tell us which one has more or less of a certain quality. For one syllable adjective, forming comparative is usually straightforward. You add a suffix er. For example, a cooler guy. From cool came cooler. Messier desk. From messy changed to messier. But what about two syllable adjective? Some can use er while others will need more. For instance, more careful driver, careful, more careful. A happy moment, happier can be. And for adjective with three or more syllables, well, you always use more. A more delicious pizza. Comparative adjective allows to highlight difference, making our description more specific. But while others, uh, verbs especially, or adjectives, sorry, they are in a regular form, they have just the irregular form of comparison, like good, better, and best. In those one, you just need to remember them. Finally, we have superlative adjectives. This indicates that something possesses the highest degree of a certain quality when comparing three or more things. To form a superlative for one syllable adjective, we typically add the suffix est. For example, the coolest guy, from cool to coolest. Further, the fast runner. For two syllable adjectives similar to comparatives, some use est while others require the word most. Like let's see some examples. The most interesting book, from interesting to most interesting. The busiest bee, from busy to busiest. And for adjective with three or more syllables, remember to use most. The most beautiful sunset. Superlative adjectives are essential when you want to express that something is the very best or worst in a group, making your language more precise. Easy, right? Just remember, for one syllable words we typically e or es, but for longer adjective we use more and almost, and for irregular form we just need to remember that. Sorry about that. Now let's dive into coordinate adjectives. These are the pair of groups of adjectives that modify the same noun and are equally important to the meaning of that noun. When using coordinate adjectives, you have a couple of important things to remember. First, they should be separated by a comma or the words end, for example. This is going to be a long, cold winter. In the middle between long and cold, there will be a comma. Here, long and cold are both modifying winter. They provide separate pieces of information about the noun, so we separate them with a comma. Now you can determine if adjectives are coordinated by testing them in a sentence. A good test is to see if you can put the word and between them. If it sounds natural, you are dealing with coordinate adjectives. This is going to be a long and cold winter. They sound perfectly fine, further confirming that long and cold are indeed coordinate adjectives. Another test is to switch the order of the adjectives. The sentence still sounds correct. You can put in adjectives. This is going to be a cold, long winter. Can be this is going to be cold, long winter. Long, cold winter. Both variation work, which makes clear that we have coordinate adjectives. However, not all adjectives are coordinate. Sometimes two adjectives that appear together modify the same noun but are not equal in their relationship to it. In this case, you don't use a comma. My cat, Gobber, loves sleeping on his tattered woolen sweater. In this instance, tattered describes the state of the woolen sweater. Here, woolen is more closely tied to the noun, creating a single semantic unit. Therefore, we don't separate them with a comma, because they work together to modify the noun. Another example is, no one could open the old silver locket. Old and silver create a distinct description for the noun locket, so it doesn't require a comma. Now let's deep in some common mistake that many do. And after this slide, you might as well be able to identify those common mistakes and fix them while speaking or writing. Many think that adjectives must always be next to a noun, but they can appear after linking verbs to, for example, I feel bad or I feel badly. Using bad here tells us how you feel, while badly suggests you have a poor sense of feeling. Always be sure to use adjectives correctly. Certainly. Here, now let's talk about one of the most common sources of confusion in English, the difference between adjectives and adverbs. While they both add depth to our sentence, they serve different purposes. First, let's quickly review the definition. Adjective modifier or pronouns, providing more detail about what we are talking about. We saw it before, and we know it now. For example, for instance, in a phrase, a bright sunny day, both bright and sunny are adjectives that describe the noun day. On the other hand, adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, or even other adverbs. They tell us how, when, where, or to what extent something happens. For example, consider the sentence, she sings beautifully. Here, beautifully is an adverb, modifying the verb sings, describing how she performs. That's a key point to remember that adjectives modify nouns while adverbs modify verbs. Adjectives and other adverbs as well. Let's look at some more examples to clarify this further. For example, the cat is quick. Adjective modifies the noun cat. He runs quickly. Adverb modifying verb run. Notice how quick describes the cat while quickly tells how he runs. Both words convey different information, and using the right form is crucial for clear communication. However, here's where it gets a little tricky. Adjectives do not always have to be right next to the nouns they modify. Sometimes they can appear after a linking verb. These are called predicate adjectives. For example, in the sentence, soap smells delicious. Delicious follows the linking verb smells but still modifies the noun, soap. This leads to a common mistake where people use an adverb when they should be using an adjective. A classic example can be I feel badly about what happened. This sounds correct at first because feel is a verb. However, badly implies that you have a poor sense of feeling or that you are not good at feeling emotions. But you really want to say is what you really want to say is I feel bad, which is correctly conveys that you are experiencing a negative emotion. I feel badly against I feel bad. It helps you to visualize the function of the verb since feel is a linking verb. Here you are talking about the state of being rather than the action of feeling. A similar case can be seen with the example Max smells bad. Here bad describes Max's odor. Badly would suggest that he has a poor sense of smell. So remember, if you're describing a noun, use an adjective. If you're describing a verb or providing more context to another adjective or adverb, use an adverb. Keeping this distinction in mind, you will improve your writing and speaking skills significantly. One more thing that you should know about adjective is that sometimes a word that is normally used as a noun can function as an adjective depending on its placement. For example, never try to pet someone's guide dog without asking permission first. Guide is a noun, but in this sentence is being put to use an adjective to modify dog. It works in other ways too. Sometimes words that are normally adjective shift into use as noun. Many times this happens with adjectives used to denote a group of people. With the addition of the French are known for valuing the leisure time. Robin Hood stole from the rich to give to the poor. In the above examples, the word people has been elided and the adjective French, rich and poor, and are functioning as nouns. This kind of shift happens with other kind of adjectives, noun pairs too. However, especially when they are commonly used together, our English class took our final this morning. Commonly tends to focus on our intangible like communication style and the sense of camaraderie. when deciding whether to accept a job offer. In this sentence, the noun, exam, and qualities have been elided. Finally, let's conclude with a discussion on adjectives and writing style. Understanding how to utilize an adjective is one thing, but now knowing when to use one effectively is another. Effective writing is both practice and succinct. At, time, at times, an adjective is necessary to accurately convey our intended meaning. For instance, it's challenging to depict a red sports car without the word red. However, selecting the appropriate noun can often eliminate the need for an adjective. Is it a big house or rather a mansion? A large crowd or a throng? A mixed breed dog or a simply mutt? Dark night or just night? Strive to ensure that every word in your writing serves a purpose. If an adjective enhances your message, include it, but if it doesn't add value, remove it. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I trust that you have now feeling increasingly self-assured when it comes to incorporate adjectives into your writing. If you found this video helpful, I would greatly appreciate if you could show your support by liking and subscribing for more value content like this in the future. To also take a moment to share your favorite adjectives in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Looking forward to catch up with you again soon. Bye.